So let's look at alternative ways to be, more things that will be helpful to you. You might remember that I asked you in last week's program to think about how to describe your pain because it's important to be able to describe it when you're talking with a doctor or going to get help with your pain. However, there are some words that are really charged, so that the way that you think about discomfort on a regular basis, on a daily basis, versus the type of words you might use when you're seeking help from a professional may be different. For example, think about the word pain versus the word discomfort. Discomfort may be less charged for you. The word pain may bring up different feelings, different emotional feelings. Think about uncomfortable. If you say, I'm feeling uncomfortable, or I'm having uncomfortable body sensations, it may not be as charged to you, and the body may not tighten in response. And we'll talk more about how the body responds to emotional thoughts, but I'm just giving you some alternatives right now. So you may want to think about looking at pain as discomfort. This is more of the positive self-talk, more of the helpful self-talk. And maybe if you're feeling like this is a sharp pain, I get sharp pains, experiment with this pain is becoming duller. And how does it feel just to conceive of it, to think of the pain differently? And if you're experiencing throbbing pain, maybe it feels more comfortable to you to be thinking of it as pulsing or pulsating. You experiment with words, you experiment with thoughts, like stabbing becoming blunted or constant becoming intermittent, recognizing that sometimes you're feeling more comfortable than other times. And there'll be an assignment at the end of this to help you with this. But I'm just suggesting that there may be alternative ways for you to think about, for you to experience discomfort that you have that may be helpful, so that when you think about your discomfort, you're not making yourself more uncomfortable. So there's something I'm going to call compassionate listening and observing. Compassionate listening is what I've been asking you to do around the negative schemas and self-talk. It's the way that you hear yourself think, the way you observe yourself, the way you think about yourself. When I mean compassionate, what I'm talking about is a non-judgmental. And you'll know that you're observing or hearing with the ear of the compassionate observer if you're stating facts without judgment. As soon as there's a criticism in there, a negative schema, something critical, then you realize that you're not hearing compassionately, you're not listening to yourself compassionately. And it's very helpful to listen to you the way you think about things. As we're focusing in this particular week on changing some of your thoughts and how that can help you be more comfortable. When you think about things, when you think about your discomfort, are you scaring yourself or comforting yourself? If you're thinking about things in a way that brings up fear, it's important to know that. And when you note that, you can say, I'm really glad I noticed that. This is something I can change. So instead of saying, oh no, I'm scaring myself, or why am I thinking that way, or I'm thinking negatively, and all of those judgments, you can just be grateful that you recognized, oh, maybe that's not the most helpful way to be thinking about this. Maybe that's not the most helpful way to be talking to myself. Be willing to encourage yourself and be willing to comfort yourself. And you will have an assignment, which is going to be called the Compassionate Listening Assignment, that will help you with this. So, before we go on to the assignments, I just want to review some coping strategies. And there's a lot more information on this in your handout that you can look at and read along with if you want to. There's three main types of coping strategies. One is avoidant, coping by taking your mind off of the pain. Reading, watching movies, listening to music are all avoidant coping strategies, and they can be very helpful. But if they're overused, they prevent you from doing anything that will be helpful to you. So temporarily, for an hour, for a short period of time, distracting yourself, not thinking about it, is wonderful as a coping technique. But if you are spending hours and hours and hours in front of a television set or spacing out and not doing things that might be helpful for you, that's when avoidant is going to be more harmful. Instrumental is another type of coping strategy. It's coping by finding a solution, a way to increase your comfort. So when you're doing your painless log, when you're keeping the log and you keep on noticing that there's a negative after certain things that you're doing, instrumental would be to ask yourself, is there a way that I can do this differently that might be more comfortable for me? You're not avoiding it. You're looking for solution. And there isn't always a solution. There isn't always a way to make it work, to make it easier. And it's important to note that. And many of the things that you're going to be learning in this program would fall under the instrumental coping techniques. And the last one, psychological. It's very important to honor your feelings, to recognize if you're having a difficult time, and be that compassionate listener, recognizing this, noting I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling frustrated, there's just a lot of pain in my life, and today it's just really getting to me. But when you can note this and then release it, be honest with it, take it in and release it. Release it by talking to someone. Release it by meditating, praying, crying about it. Finding a way that works for you to release these emotions. And some of the assignments will give you ways to release the emotions. Talking to someone you really trust, that you can really feel like the person is empathizing with you, is a wonderful way to cope. So I'm going to encourage you to look over the different types of coping strategies and get acquainted with the ones you use. Also noting that overutilizing any of them is not helpful. Even the psychological, if you're thinking about it and crying about it and talking about it, a great deal of the time, it may be important to look at solutions, to try the instrumental. So just look at what you're doing, kindly observe it, and find the balance. Before we go on to the assignments, let's talk about what you will learn next week. We'll be talking next week more about how to use the mind to help the body, understanding more about mind-body interventions, understanding more about all that's available to you in the way that you can use your mind to feel more comfortable. We'll also be exploring how your body reacts to stress, to fear, and to knowing that you're going to experience pain, or at least believing that you're going to experience pain. We'll be looking at what imagery is and how it can help, and you'll have some imagery assignments and demonstrations. And that long word again, we're getting to it, psychoneuroimmunology. You'll be learning about psychoneuroimmunology and how it can help you.